High frequency. Yeah. Sync up. Already. Yay. I get up with the frequency each and every morning. Thanks, practice gratitude, commence brainstorming. Live, awake, excited, new day, new me. PSA, courtesy of JRE and Scott Free. Too many folks shallow, scared to drown in the deep end. And I ain't pointing fingers, best believe I was one of them. The pain I was numbing it, self-inflicted punishment. The streets I was running in led me to consciousness. Yes, they can steal my flows, but can't block my shine, baby. You see my glow? Now I live in the light, radiating love. Sun, you're a star, as below, so above. Am I too metaphysical? Are you over analytical? So many situations get critical. I'm a warrior, survivor is an understatement. Started subterranean, now we in the cosmos on some milky wavy shit. Sun-kissed, melanin rich, health is wealth, we live abundant. Connected with the oneness, I'm off my dumb shit. I bring to you substance more specific, life is synchronistic. All is energy, fact, over fiction when I rap. That high frequency, yeah, we on that. Sync with the most divine, catch contact, physicality beyond that. High frequency, we on that. Mind over matter, thoughts not scattered. Both stars co-creating, spiral up, no ladder to heaven or hell. Then you leave a trail, the high and low polarities, the vibrations, they all real.
From day to day just hoping, going through the motions, staring at the doors, who could ever get this open? Till I uncovered the secret to keeping it real. I got in touch with my soul, expand my frequency field. We play and follow the leader ain't going nowhere. That's why I'm living my life with a sovereign mind. All I want in this world is to spread love and greatness to you, using my music for we out of time. So for the divine, I'm doing my due diligence, giving some peace to views that's too militant. Doing it different, I got purpose and position. Feel the vibration, transmission is the mission. Need you to listen to these words, my dude. I swear my third eye got a bird's eye view. And do you wanna sync up? Cause I do. Surfing this wave, follow as we ride through.
All is energy, fact, over fiction when I rap. That high frequency, yeah, we on that. Sync with the most divine, catch contact, physicality beyond that. High frequency, we on that. Mind over matter, thoughts not scattered. Co-stars, co-creating, spiral up, no ladder to heaven or hell. It's in you, leave a trail. The high and low polarities, the vibrations, they all real.
Let it marinate, cause this is very great. To every state, the burden on my back, well, I carry weight. High frequency, high power, free spirit. Talking to the man upstairs, and yeah, he hear it. Man, I'm riding the wave, inspired by the days when we sparked up, that was the light of the haze. But now I'm synced up, yeah, my drink's up. Am I drinking again? Well, you know, yeah, the gig's up. Freedom ain't free, believe them, they not me. The oppressor knows my melanin rich, and I'm scot-free. That means I got away. BS, not today. Stop and say we good, okay, no more drops today. This the high frequency, they gon' feel this. Still with optimism, but still I'm the realist. They gon' feel this, yeah, real quick. Bring the chorus in. That's real shit.
All is energy, fact, over fiction when I rap. That high frequency, yeah, we on that. Sync with the most divine, catch contact, physicality beyond that. High frequency, we on that. Mind over matter, thoughts not scattered. Co-stars, co-creating, spiral up, no ladder to heaven or hell. It's in you, leave a trail. The high and low polarities, the vibrations, they all real. Peace to the gods, brother Yusuf found. High frequency radio, yeah, we on that. Peace, brother Paul Savage, you already know. You were locked in, tuned in live. High frequency radio. Sync up. Sync up. Sync up. Sync up.
You're Sicilian, huh?
Sicilian.
You know, I read a lot, especially about things, about history. I find that shit fascinating. Here's a fact. I don't know whether you know or not. Sicilians were spawned by niggers.
Come again?
No, it's a fact. Yeah. You see, Sicilians have black blood pumping through their hearts. And no, if you don't believe me, you can look it up. Hundreds and hundreds of years ago, you see, the Moors conquered Sicily, and the Moors are niggers. See, way back then, Sicilians were like wops from northern Italy. They all had blonde hair and blue eyes. But, then the Moors moved in there and...
You're listening to Moabite Oasis with your host, Taj Tarik Bey. Exclusively on High Frequency Radio Network, the baddest radio network on the planet.
I'm on Taj Tarik Bey, Moabite Oasis, High Frequency Radio. High Frequency Radio, calling number is 424-222-5250. This is Taj Tarik Bey, your host for Moabite Oasis, and I'm honored to be here with you today on High Frequency Radio, humanitarian and informative communications venue. I will be hosting this show for your honor, for your respect, and for your considerations from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock p.m. in the afternoon. This day with degree is Thursday, known in Moorish Latin as Jueves, being the 5th day of the week, and ruled by the planet Jupiter. The holy name of the week, Jupiter being the 5th day of the week, and ruled by the planet Jupiter. The holy name for this degree, for Eloah, is Sakail. And as the schedule may allow, I trust to be with you on Thursdays to come. Recognizing the unity of life, we thank you and honor you for sharing your time with us, and trust that our sharing and communications will manifest as nurturing remedial sensations, bringing forth some greater good and functionality. As we appeal to the higher principles within ourselves to help as an ancillary in the great universal humanitarian movement, we trust that you will do the same, promoting and supporting the works needed and necessary in helping to uplift fallen humanity. And with that being said, we encourage you to bring the best that your heart has to offer. Let us sit down at the round table and with good intent get some work done. And we greet you in peace. Call-in number is 424-222-5250. I want to share with you one of my favorite chapters in the Holy Quran, Circle 7 of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Chapter 3, Elihu's Lesson, the unity of life. Again, Elihu met his pupils in the sacred grove and said, "No man lives unto himself, for every living thing is bound by cords to every other living thing. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will love and not demand love in return. They will not do to other men what they would not have other men do unto them. There are two selves, the higher and the lower self. The higher self is human spirit, clothed with soul, made in the form of Allah. The lower self is the carnal self, the body of desires. It is a reflection of the higher self, distorted by the murky ethers of the flesh. The lower self is an illusion and will pass away. The higher self is Allah in man and will not pass away. The higher self is the embodiment of truth. The lower self is truth reversed, and so is falsehood manifest. The higher self is justice, mercy, love, and right. The lower self is what the higher self is not. The lower self breeds hatred, slander, lewdness, murder, theft, and everything that harms. The higher self is mother of the virtues and the harmonies of life. The lower self is rich in promises, but poor in blessedness and peace. It offers pleasures, joy, and satisfying gain, but gives unrest, misery, and death. It gives men apples that are lovely to the eye and pleasant to the smell. Their cores are full of bitterness and gall. If you would ask me what to study, I would say yourselves. And when you, have studied them, and then would ask me what to study next, I would reply, yourselves. He who knows well his lower self knows the illusions of the world, knows of the things that pass away. And he who knows his higher self knows Allah, knows well the things that cannot pass away. Thrice blessed is the man who has made purity and love his very own. He has been ransomed from the perils of the lower self and is himself his higher self. Men seek salvation from an evil that they deem a living monster of the netherworld, and they have gods that are but demons in disguise, all powerful, yet full of jealousy and hate and lust, whose favors must be bought with costly sacrifice of fruits and of the lives of birds and animals and humankind. And yet these gods possess no ears to hear, no eyes to see, no heart to sympathize, no power to save. This evil is a myth. These gods are made of air, clothed with shadows of a thought. The only devil from which man must be redeemed is self, the lower self. If man would find the devil, he must look within. His name is self. If man would find his Savior, he must look within. And when the demon self has been dethroned, the Savior love will be exalted to the throne of power. The David of the light is purity, who slays the strong Goliath of the dark and seeks the Savior love upon the throne. I want to share with you an overview of the things that are troubling us these days. I want you all to know that the inclement weather that we're having all up and down the East Coast is unfortunately a response to an imposition. And the response is of others who are doing a countermeasure to the malevolent actions of the Kabbalists who have been using harp against humanity and the earth, and who have been fracking and poisoning the waters. And so there's a countermeasure to keep the East Coast disrupted, as well as the blockade that's taken place at 29 ports along the entire western coast of North America, including Canada, including Central North America, Morocco, under the jurisdiction of the United States Corporation Company, and Mexico, including the ports in the East Coast on Philadelphia, which is a key signal. And it is a countermeasure because the Dark Priesthood refused to be reformed. And so it is just a heads up on everyone to prepare your families to make sure you have some of the immediate goods that you need, because this is going to be prolonged. Because the Dark Priesthood refused to be reformed, you have those of the light that are doing a countermeasure to the harm that they have been doing. And the desire is for those who have righteousness in their hearts to remove those persons from office who have been corrupting the planet, lest everybody suffers. In accord with the book of Malachi, that has 4 gates, 4 chapters, that closes out the testimony of the Torah, Tanakh, etc. In the heliotext we refer to as the Bible, the Son of Righteousness arises with healing in his wings, spelled S-U-N. The deal is, active countermeasures are being made by those who are defiling the earth to counter their toxins and the evils that have plagued mankind across the planet has come from a body of men who they have trusted, who have been hiding behind names assigned to gods, whether Jesus, God, Allah, Moses, Muhammad, and the prophets, etc. And you have the Dark Priesthood who are amongst them, who are causing injury on the planet, against humanity, against the animals, against the water, against the land, against the insect, against the protozoa. And so the Brotherhood of the Light have now come awake and are beginning to make a counter move. It has been held off because of compassion for those who are innocent to the evil and mean spirit of the Dark Priesthood. However, the warning is given so that you can prepare your families, because it will not stop until they are dethroned. That's a head up. I want to give you an overview so there's no confusion for anyone. An overview of race, ethnicity, and crime. And we're talking about the concepts of race and ethnicity, which essentially is not founded in divine laws of nature, but is founded in social engineering by persons who have been beneficiaries as scientists and sociologists, working to the ends to bring about conquest of humanity for a Dark Priesthood hiding behind the name of Jesus and the other prophets, etc., when they actually have been the ones who have been injuring the world, injuring humanity, injuring the animals, and now poisoning the earth, and thinking that there is no power, or that there was no power that could counter their activities. Well, they are welcomed to a new era, and they will be experiencing some things that they can't handle. The concepts of race and ethnicity. Now, there remains considerable debate about the concept of race. Keep in mind that race is the species and not the setup that was done by the Dark Priesthood for social engineering and controls. And so this debate is despite the fact that racial classifications are more than 5,000 years old, as you would say. Now, the earliest known racial distinctions can be traced to Kero, later called Hindustan, and then today miscalled India. And so for those who don't know or are not familiar with the real history of the human family, they would know that or Pinde, pero Pinde, Hindustan, they would know it as India. However, it's not India, it's Pinde. Now, it must be understood that these systems was also found in Manchuria, or what you call today China, and Hikupta, which you call today Egypt, and amongst the Yahudi, which you falsely call today Jews. Now, to understand the dynamics of the false concepts, hostilities, misconceptions, mistreatments that men do to each other in these days under the guise of race, you must know of a man called and named Francois Bernier. Francois Bernier is Francois Bernier, Bernier. And this sociologist is largely credited for the categorization of humans. But it was Carolus Linnaeus who invented the first system of categorizing plants and animals. And the first racial categorization of humans is credited to the German Johann Friedrich Blumenbach. And so for those who are listening to high-frequency radio, you should have a background in these three particular men to understand the social dynamics that has taken place and causing much injury on the planet today. For it is from their operations that the U.S. corporation company has adopted those classifications which are designed for human servitude and divisionisms. It is not based in attitude, it is based in political manipulations. So everyone from every walk of life that has any consideration in relationship to the injuries from man to man in the fake categorization of racism, it is Francois Bernier, Carolus Linnaeus, and Friedrich Blumenbach. We don't have enough time in the day to go in detail on all of them, but we expect those who come on high-frequency radio to take notes and to do some research, and we will encourage you to do so, because as you begin to understand what took place or how we got into the mess that we're in, we can begin to unravel it and shed it, starting with the fact that once you understand it's social engineering, you know it has no divine origin. And when it has no divine origin, it has no truth. For the only thing that men can repeat that has truth in it is when he or she acknowledges that which is divine in nature, and that is the truth, and that is what does not pass away. This is one of the negative motives as to why the Dark Priesthood will not teach the people the foundation of the ancient philosophies, which is Kabbalism or Gnosticism, etc., dealing with the math of the universe, sacred geometry, the workings of nature, and that's the foundation of what you would call truth maxims, or the hermetic principles of the phenomena that govern the universe. And that is universal in its character, and those things need to be studied so that the people can be enabled to separate the dogma presented to them falsely as religion from true religion, which is really cosmogony and gnosis, which means the knowledge or the established maxim principles that are the registry of studies as man would go back from all his memory, etc. Those things which are called tried and true, supported by nature, not moved by what man legislates or what man claims. Those set the maxims. And in that area of philosophy, you will find religion. Outside of that, all of the other stuff is a fraud. It's unfortunate that the masses are guided by all of that other stuff. And they have corrupted the ancient truth of religion and thus have corrupted humanity by corrupting their minds. And so, I also would give you a one-upsman on the doctrine of discovery, which we discussed in the past week, so that people can have a source of reference to begin to unravel the frauds that have injured humanity if they choose to be on the side of that which is right or the light. And understand, as we give this information, we're not propagating any belief systems. We're just simply dealing with the facts to examine the logistical component parts of those things that cause either progress or injury to our people, so that we can separate the wheat from the chaff, so that we can know night from day, and so that we can take charge of our lives and begin to make this a better place for life, period. Not just for humanity, but for the animals and the birds and the insects and the protozoa and the earth, and vibrate on a higher level to the higher planes of life, and recognize our state of affairs in this dimensional format of three, and prepare ourselves for the illusionary dissolutions, and for the evolutionary jump that's going to bring us to a higher consciousness, and thus making some of the carnal desires that are not necessarily needs dissipate in order for men to see themselves better for what they are and what their potentials are, and the negative that is formed by a lack of knowledge that we have falsely, by virtue of being misled and deceived, falsely called religion, which must be shed in order to liberate humanity. Now, on the origins of the doctrine of discovery, and this is an excerpt from a writer named Steve Newcomb. When Christopher Columbus first set foot on the white sands of Guanahani Island, he performed a ceremony to take possession of the land for the king and queen of Spain, acting under the international laws of Western Christendom. Although the story of Columbus' discovery was taken on mythological proportions in most of the Western world, few people are aware that his act of possession was based on a religious doctrine now known in history as the doctrine of discovery. Even fewer people realize that today, 5 centuries later, the United States government still uses this archaic Judeo-Christian doctrine to deny the rights of Native Americans and Indians, etc. Now, the origins of the doctrine of discovery, to understand the connection between Christendom's principle of discovery and the laws of the United States, we need to begin by examining a papal document issued 40 years before Columbus's historical voyage in 1492. Pope Nicholas V issued to King Alfonso V of Portugal the bull Romanus Pontifex, where you hear us often refer to as the Pontifex of 1492, declaring war against all non-Christians throughout the world, and specifically sanctioning and promoting the conquest, colonization, and exploitation of non-Christian nations and their territories. This is the source of the entire world's false doctrine of racism. and it is the source of the wars in the entire world, in the modern world. It is the source of the conquest and the destruction of ancient scripts, ancient sciences, the cover-up of advanced ancient civilization, the cover-up of ancient technology, much of which is more advanced than the technology that's used today, all for the purpose of causing peonage and injury disguised under the word slavery against humanity itself, period. Unfortunately, the Dark Priesthood has also controlled the education of the people, offspring who they had conquered. One of the members of the Cabal, whose mission is to overthrow any form of government that acknowledges the allodial rights of any human, is Rockefeller, who set up the General Education Board in 1902 for the purpose of motivating the people to take a docile position in life and to negate and ignore the divine laws of nature, and to take on a curriculum that would make them passive servants as opposed to being truly educated in life, in nature, and in the harmonies of how the earth works, and thus having a true knowledge of the economies of life, etc. And so by the people being groomed under the cabal of the dark nights, the people have very few reference points by which they can extricate themselves out from under the dark iron hand oppression of Rome via their Romanus Pontifex of 1492, and the next year Intercatera Divina of 1493. If we are sincere that we're going to bring some remedy for humanity, we must admit and study and understand and comprehend how we got in the position we are today. To ignore it, to ignore the facts, is both irresponsible, hypocritical, and evil. Do not confuse Christendom as an order with Christianity in the sense that people take it as religion. For the most part, in all of the major religions, the general masses never really get true religion. They get dogmata. Doesn't mean that they don't get some information that might be kind of uplifting and make you feel good for 2 minutes. But for the most part, cures nothing, fixes nothing, and pretty much costs them finance over and over again with empty promises that never fulfill. But it keeps them starry-eyed and keeping them gazing into the netherworld, waiting for mystery gods to come save them from the evils that the priesthood are actually putting on them that gave them the dogma in the first instance. This is one of the reasons why the priesthood get quite upset when you have, through the periods of time, seers or prophets that come and start exposing to the common people the Kabbalistic principles that have been preserved only for the elite, because what it does, it liberates the people from the mental servitude forced upon them by the priesthood, who always got gods to sell that always just happen to be broke all the time. But they always try to remind the people that the gods have bank account at J.P. Morgan or Chase and stuff like that. And even adults think that that's real, and they teach it to their children and setting up the next generation for this continued darkness, including the fact that some of these persons are the major stockholders in the arsenals of the world that are designed to poison the earth, murder humanity, caused suffering to women and children around the world, and then after murdering them and bringing suffering, want to offer them some prayers that always cost them a tithing. And the truth of it is, very few people want to admit that truth that I just said, and therefore they become complicit in this criminal activity that has been imposed upon the planet and upon humanity and upon the animals and upon all life forms, and poisoning the blood of the earth, which is the waters. However, we're at a point now where so many people are suffering, they're going to be forced by divine law to shed their dark priesthood, who they've faked as being loving, godly beings, and see them for just who they are and who they've always been. The very demons that they had people pointing into the nether darkness to try to find. Or it is the priesthood themselves who are the demon. And that's a hard thing for most people to handle. However, it is true. And again, the suffering will be upon humanity in this coming cycle, and it is present upon them right now as we speak and will increase. And they will decide for themselves whether or not they want these dark priests to continue to rule over them and to feed them broken idol gods that always cost and produce nothing but poison the earth and kill humanity and make void and empty promises of salvation. Take these two words and consider them, and I won't give it a definition. I'll just give it to you and remind you to study. Salvation. Write that down. Salvation, and next to it, put salvage yard. And take it into consideration, to deep thought. Next word. Vibration. Next to it, ascension. Just for your consideration. I'm not going to discuss it. I'm not going to break it down. Just giving you something to think about. Also, want to remind everyone, as we said past week, that all corporate entities registered under United States Corporation Company are party members to the Roman Curia. Roman Curia, ROMANCURIA. Now, as we talked last week, to remind everybody that Pope Francis ended the doctrine of discovery, Christian doctrine of discovery. Keep in mind that essentially removed any claim of the color of authority that has been operating on the planet for quite a few hundred years now, and particularly in North America under the United States Corporation Company. We all know, those who study law and history know, that from a point of jurisprudence, that the United States Corporation Company is a company and not a country. We know that. We also know that they've been operating on multi-levels under impostorship and a fraud, starting with pretending to be Americans, going to and fro the earth, devouring nations in our name, then poisoning and then genociding the nations, and then calling anyone who seeks to defend themselves a terrorist, then hiding behind God and country statements, etc. Understand, when the Pope Francis ended the Christian doctrine of discovery, their claim of superior authority upon which they've been genociding people all around the world, where they and shooting armless people lacking any defense whatsoever on the streets, etc. They've been doing that because they knew that the magistrates are actually deputy knights operating under the pontifex. It may confuse some people thinking that these people have derived their authority under the United States Constitution. If you ever thought that, unfortunately, it's not true. For they hate the Constitution or anything that represents the securing of the rights of humans or the people. This is why they operate under their secret Treaty of Verona to enforce the doctrine of discovery. But again, I'm going to say, keep in mind that as Pope Francis ended the Christian doctrine of discovery, they can no longer use the powers vested in the Holy See to commit their genocides around the planet and then pretend that they have some kind of delegated authority from God or from the American Constitution, which they've never honored. This is, again, why people should pay attention to even under the jurisdiction of even the de facto United States operations. The Clearfield Doctrine dismisses their claim as government, knowing that their seats have been transferred to the IMF since 1933, and they are simply private deputy knights running around the world murdering people, pretending to have constitutional authority to hold those seats of office. But even while they're doing that, they've been robbing the people, even some of the very people who have been supporting them. And this is where now the middle class, so-called middle class Europeans operating in America, who have been spoiled under the white codes set up by Horace Greeley, are now finding the middle class being sacrificed now that the civilized world are starting to get rid of all of those bonds that were issued by the cabal, which makes them dead paper for any nation state on the planet that is not, put it this way, brain dead or not capable of understanding the instruments that they were tricked into buying in the name of some security, i.e. the UST bonds, which are absolute worthless paper. And so the nations of the earth, anyone who has those T-bonds in any of their treasuries, their nation state, if it hasn't already collapsed, will collapse. So it appears that the people need pain in order to start doing right or being fair and being just in commerce and in their treatment of the aboriginal people of the planet. Therefore, all the instruments that have been created under the Roman Curia to cause injury to man shall be exposed for what they are and shall have no longer the power that they've had over humanity. For not only are the nations of the earth turning against it, the divine laws of the universe has declared it null and void, dead. It will manifest itself exponentially as we speak and in the next coming months. And those who hold on to it, going down with it. Don't take my word for it. Smell the air. Pay attention to every detail. Whatever they tell you in the news, don't take anything that they tell you in the news. Pay attention to what you feel in your gut and what you're going to see. And for those who don't believe what I just said, start watching the shelves at your major stores like Walmart, Kmart, Sears, and all the rest of them as they begin to curl up and close down. At Philadelphia area, There was a tanker, as an example of many that have been and will be. And understand that they offload for the refiners for gasoline, etc., kerosene, and your other petrol products. The tanker sat since November and just left 2 weeks ago. They offloaded like a dripping faucet instead of letting it flow. 650,000 gallons, and a few more ships come right behind them after that ship left, following the same pattern. Now, if you think that these corporations are going to still keep operating with drip, 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 return of oil, offloading, where a ship sits in the harbor for over 2 months, just offloading, I suggest not to hold your breath. But I'm suggesting for you to pay attention to what's going on, because the nations of the earth are banding together to get rid of the Dark Priesthood, who is a blight on the planet. And so it is in our interest to stop pontificating and start paying attention to the details, because what they were warned was coming on the planet is already here. And for those who doubt what I just said, read the closing of the Old Testament, the book of Malachi, and then pay attention to the details of your experience. Forget what they tell you on Wall Street, because that's not going to last too much longer either. Also want to share with you just a little bit of Carolus Linnaeus on Systema Naturae, facsimile, and we're going back to 1735. And it's only to present to you that many of the political operations that take place today that has caused these divisions amongst humanity have life that's actually decades and hundreds of years. And this is one of the reasons why persons who call themselves the elite belong to secret societies, so they can manipulate humanity and maintain their less than honorable agendas, while the masses are not aware that most of the things that they claim in the name of love and God and Jesusness, they don't believe it themselves. But what it does with the secret societies, it allows them to maintain the Kabbalistic truths and the Gnostic truths for their selfish selves, and they create dogma systems which are called sects or denominations, which create schismata, which is a term they use in their military operations, keeping people divided. And then they suck on the injuries that they create against and upon humanity. Then hide behind the mystery devil did it to them, when it's actually the priesthood themselves. So when you see a magistrate sitting on a bench imitating the ancient temples of Egypt, he's really a magi, a dark priest, magistrate, magi, magistrate, magi. From the dark priesthood. That's why there's no justice. Jesus means justice. They have no intention to issue justice. They only justify their, how would you say, forced contract enforcers that they send out on the street, who enforce contracts on people for the insurance companies that they have stock in, and murder people on the street who don't buy insurance from their partners who give them kickbacks, whether it's car insurance, so-called life insurance, and every insurance that they have under the Roman Curia. is designed to rob the people and to kill nations. United States Corporation Company, being a member of the Roman Curia, is not designed to uplift people. It's designed like a spider who catches its prey in the web, sucks its essence like a vampire, then drops the carcass at the feet of the web. Everything they touch will turn to a persimmon, dried, decrepit, thoroughly exploited, and essentially ready for the grave. The problem that we have in North America is that the middle class, who has been the beneficiary for so many generations of social engineering management of what they call the Job, J-O-B, with a long O, Job, to extract all the resources from the Aboriginal indigenous people, now find that their Job that has become short O, job, now that the phoenix bird is eating them too. This is one of the reasons why many are denouncing their U.S. citizenship and going to other countries, nation states, and nationalizing. The problem that they have is many of the nations are rejecting any accounts by them, knowing that the fiat that they bring brings the poison of the cabal. And so they're closing all so-called American accounts, and then they're reporting back to the cabal order of the Inquisition, styled as the IRS, under House Joint Resolution 2847, and they're going to steal that too. It's unfortunate, but it's people are going to discover it's in all of our interests to be fair, to be just to each other. And like Prophet Muhammad Ali said years ago, he said, the time is going to come, children, that you're going to be walking down the street and see a $20 bill on the street, on the sidewalk, and you won't even waste your time bending over to pick it up. The time is now. And it doesn't mean that you can't transfer any energy for that bookkeeping instrument, but understand it's not money, it's a debt note under the cabal of the Inquisition operations under the doctrine of discovery, and it has reached the apex level to now that it is toxifying even the carrier of that. So we're those who were targeted for the theft, meaning that they got no more blood in that turnip. And now they're going to devour the middle class. So what you have going on the last, say, 25 years, and what's going to accelerate greatly from the point that I'm speaking in these next coming months, you're going to see some acceleration that you never believed could ever happen. You're going to see some of these middle-class people telling you some knowledge about the real history, law, government, commercial processes that you never imagined ever took place. However, I will remind them, you don't tell on the Don when you've been the beneficiary. However, that's still what's going to take place. So they're going to be forced to tell the truth. I suggest that everyone listen, take notes, etc., but take it with a grain of salt. Because what is really happening now on the planet is that the heirs to the estate must be identified. Because there is no movement of monies. The issue is resources and estate. And there is no creditor to the estate except the heirs. And the heirs must be identified. And therefore, I hold out my hand all the day long to a hard-hearted and rebellious people who are not called by my name. When they repent from their sinful ways, I will hear from heaven and heal their land. That's their estate. And those who claim the estate and are not heirs to the estate will never be held as creditor. And every instrument that's created by them will shrivel up and it will be toxin in the hand of whoever carries it, whoever holds it, whoever bargains with it, whoever even wishes to bargain with it. The encouragement will be justice, for there will be no peace on the planet until justice, and Jesus means justice. So mote it be. Anyway, you all, I think maybe in about 5 minutes or so, we'll take a break in about 5 minutes, and I'll talk a little bit more about this subject matters, then trusting that we have some people who will contribute, because keep this in mind, these issues are the issues of the entire human family on the planet, and those who don't wish to address it, got no problem with it, because truth and the rule of law, reciprocity, does not recognize person or station. And we don't have to address it. I tell you one thing, it will address us, and it is addressing us. We can ignore it. It won't ignore us. It kind of has me thinking, because we had a lot of planes. I'm out here with Grand Sheik's Nika and Grand Sheik Nature Eel out in Asbury Park, New Jersey territory. And we had a lot of plans to do some things today. But I think the White Dragon family had other ideas as a countermeasure to the harm that they've been doing to everybody else. And that's why we got this snow on the East Coast, and it's going to continue off and on and to destabilize the economy. So I'm telling you what's already happening. But it's going to be the West Coast, too. And the stream, the cold stream coming down from Canaan land, will go deeper south, so that the fruits aren't going to be too. They might be crispy, but they won't be snappy. And so it's up to us, according to divine law, to enforce the grand covenant called the American Constitution. Choose not to, and the reward is ours. As you look for those, yes, because it is in relationship to the human constitution, because when you look at the unanimous Declaration of Independence, understand you weren't talking or looking at the religious guys, they were deists. And they were dealing with divine law relative to nature's laws and nature's God. It does not recognize person or station or club or belief or so-called fake religion that anybody claims, or some green people or purple people or orange people, and all the code systems set up by the Kabbalists to divide humanity and to create their servitude system under their 14th Amendment Kabbal crud that's caused injury. Anyway, they can mess with us. See if they can mess with Mother Nature.